I know that's right.
Mais comment ça va, Chef Harley Fondo with the Bon Ton Cooking Show, better known as the Parrain. And today we're making some beef and vegetable soup. The first thing you're gonna need is some stew meat. And you're gonna get you a couple big old potatoes, las par la patate. And you need some crushed tomatoes, some hot rotel, or mild if you're a couillon. And you need some tomato paste, some fresh frozen mixed vegetables, that good old Scotch seasoning, some lima beans if you like that, you don't have to put it, some onions, bell pepper, and some garlic. Now let's start cutting our vegetables. All right, so now that you done peeled all that, it's time to cut the potatoes, chef. After you peel them, of course. So, you want to cut little strips like that out of it. See, it's not quite half, it's like thirds. Depends how big your potato is. The thirds should probably be fine, because these are some big old grown potatoes, chef. And after you do that, you lay them all flat. And you cut little slices into them. Just do thirds again, I guess. It'll probably be perfect. All the way across. And you want to dice them all close to the same size as each other. Then you put that in a bowl of water so they don't turn brown on you. And now that you cut all that, it's time to season your little meats, chef. And I'm about to use that Scott's Cajun seasoning. And if y'all never tried that yet, I highly recommend it. It's right up there with that Justin Wilson. And what's the best thing about it is that you can put a whole lot of that. And I'm serious, it's not gonna make it too spicy, it'll make it just right. So you might think that looks like a lot, but I'm about to put some more meat. And y'all could tank what y'all want, but if you try this season, you'll see why I put a lot. Now it's time to head to the stove, partner. So the first thing you're gonna do is get your pot real hot. So put that tang on high, and I'm gonna use a little bit of rendered down beef fat, but if y'all use all, that's gonna be good too. And you put a little bit of that. And you put a little bit of that at the bottom of your pan just to brown your vegetables. Ooh. And that's hot, yeah. Look at that, it's jumping. I'm a little scared, me. But you want to get a good brown on that. So you dump that in there, you mix it up with your fancy little crawfish spoon. Now what you're gonna do is cook your vegetables till they get them little brown tips and they clear. And that's when you're gonna add your meat, but I'm gonna show y'all. All right, so now that your vegetables are cooked down a little bit, it's time to add your little meats, partner. That was heavy, yeah. That's from all that seasoning I put in there. So you kind of treat it like a steak and a gravy right here, basically. That's how I start my beef vegetable soup to get the most bang for your buck. And that's gonna be fire. So in case you missed the steak and a gravy episode, which you need to go watch that if you didn't already, we're gonna let this burn a little bit to the bottom. We're gonna add a little water, mix it and scratch all that. But I'm gonna show y'all when to add your water. Now we let that cook way down, chef. And look at that. All them grammys to the bottom of that. So you're gonna pour your little Crown Royal cup of water in there and scratch that. And that's gonna be a thick gravy, yeah. Woo. So what you're gonna come out to after you scratch all that together is a real thick paste, chef. And after you get that paste, spread it out over the bottom and let it stick one more time. Have you another little Crown Royal cup of water ready. Ooh, it did it again, yeah. And what we're gonna do here is add another little cup of water. Scratch that. We're gonna add our garlic. It's like a whole clove of garlic I got. A whole, not a clove, a bulb. Y'all know what I'm talking about though. And you're gonna mix that all together. So now that you cook that down 2 times, what you're gonna do is add your tomatoes. By tomatoes, I mean the big grand can of crushed tomatoes I told y'all to get. Dump that in there. And we're gonna go with the hot rotel because I like my food spicy. And you're gonna see after you mix all that up together that it's gonna need some more water because it's too thick. I like it thick, but you gotta draw the line somewhere. And you dump your little water in there and mix it again. Then you're gonna add some beef base to that. And that's the super special secret ingredient that I forgot to tell y'all about. But I'm telling you now, that's better than bouillon beef base. And you're gonna take a teaspoon of that and pickle that right in. And whenever you add your water, make sure it's about this consistency. And you stir that beef base in there real good. And we're gonna let that simmer for a while. All right, so after you let that cook down, it's been almost an hour, like 45 minutes. It got real thick. So we're gonna add a big cup of water, just like 2 of my Crown Royal cups right there. And you mix that. And what you're gonna do next is add a big old heaping tablespoon of tomato paste. And you just mix that up real good. Then we'll start adding our little vegetables. See, at around this point, I would normally add like a little pinch of sugar in there. But you don't have to because if you're using that Scots like I told y'all, it's gonna have a little touch of sugar in there already. That's what helps your meat brown real good too. So you taste it right here and see if it is how you like it. And like I said, we're gonna add them vegetables. And use them fresh frozen, don't use the can. It comes out a lot better with this. You gotta add a little bit to your cook time, but it's worth it. So that's your mixed vegetables is what that is. So it's carrots, peas, and corn, and green beans. But just for lanya, I'm gonna throw in some lima beans. And you mix that up and let it simmer one more time. And while that's simmering, I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of this can of tomato paste. Because you want that to be a red soup, not a brown one. But it's gonna be dark just because the way we started. But the flavor is gonna be on point. So the tomato paste also acts as a thickening agent. So along with the rest of that, you wanna add water to make it the right consistency that you want. Keep in mind that it's a soup. You don't want it to be super thick. But you don't want it to be too thin either. So just do it how you want as far as that goes. And it's also important to know after you add all this to add a little bit more seasoning if you feel like it needs it. Taste it one more time. All right, so after you let that sit for a while and simmer to get that steak real tender, I'm gonna show y'all how tender that is right here with the old spoon test. Watch this. Oh yeah. But we're not done yet, partner. So you're gonna wanna add a little bit of water to it to get it to the consistency that you want. I personally like mine real thick, but you don't have to eat yours like that. Just add more water to make it a little more thin instead of thick. But once you get it there and your meat's tender, you're gonna drop your potatoes in there, chef. Mix that in, leave it on low, let it simmer until your potatoes get soft, and then it's gonna be time to mange. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna tell y'all a little joke. Boudreaux and Thibodeau went on a trip to the beach one time. And Boudreaux and Thibodeau was arguing, and Boudreaux told him, he said, "I bet you I could bring more women home than you throughout this whole trip." Thibodeau was like, "All right, we're gonna see." But sure enough, that first night Boudreaux came, he had a woman on each arm. Same thing happened the next night. Boudreaux, a woman on each arm, and Thibodeau with no women. And he said, "Man, Boudreaux, what's the trick to you having all them women come to you?" He said, "It's easy." He said, "I'm gonna tell you my trick." He said, "You take a sweet potato and you put it in your pants." And he said, "All the women just come to you." He was like, "All right." So he tried it. The next day he didn't. And sure enough, Boudreaux come, a woman on each arm, and Thibodeau didn't have no women. In fact, they stayed further away from him now than before. He said, "Man, I don't know what I did wrong. I did what you said. I put the sweet potato in my pants and nothing. They stayed away from me even more this time." He said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, you gotta put it in the front, not the back." And after you cook that for a while, you can pay attention to this little time right here. You can take your potato and stick it on the little edge right there and test it just like you did the meat. Look how soft that is, chef. And you thought that meat was soft before. Wait till you see this. Get up there, you. Watch. Oh, and that's against the grain. Cut smooth like that. And now that that's all ready, it's time to mange, chef. Join us next time on the Bon Ton Cooking Show. We got some corn maque choux and some crawfish ball boulettes with a crawfish dip remoulade. Until next time, Parrain loves you.